Hello everybody, it's Cape Rugby TV time. Wednesday night, we bring you the very best of what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby, and the season has now finally kicked off. The 2nd of June has come and gone, and everybody is straight into Western Province Club Rugby. We've been waiting for a couple of months now. I think we've been waiting about 8 months since the last official game. Other than, of course, friendlies and, of course, the sevens that happened at the end of last year. Big thanks to Hisense, who's on board with Cape Rugby TV as official technical partner. Score Energy Drinks, Score's on board with us. And, of course, hopefully a little bit later in the year, we'll be doing the sevens again. Remember, you can see Score Energy Drinks on many of the Club Rugby jerseys. MChem 24-hour pharmacy. They're on the corner of, just go down the N1, Durban Road. MChem 24-hour pharmacy, one of my favorite pharmacies. Color Tone, of course, on board with us, and Dulux Maitland at number 30 Coburg Road. They'll sort out all your paint requirements. Let me introduce you to my panel this evening. Morgan Newman is back. Welcome, Morgs.
How's it, James? Good to be back. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a while. I don't know. It's everything's been a bit dormant for me, I feel. So now that the Club Rugby's full swing, it's good to be back here.
And Lyndon Julius, nice
to
have you back.
Good evening, JP. Good evening, Morgan. Yeah, it's always good to be back behind the red desk, or on the red desk, as they say.
So I was thinking about it, and I didn't do it, which is probably maybe I mustn't talk about things that I think about and that I don't do. But I was thinking about coming to the show today with like a big box of nappies.
Would probably been the right thing to do. He needs it more than me, though.
Probably need that. Yeah, I probably need a storage now because everyone brings nappies, and you tend to think that you have enough, but then after a while, like after the first 3 weeks, it's like, hey, I need more.
Yeah. Well, you're right into it now.
Yeah. Half of it at least.
Home,
half of it at least. Yeah. So the other one is still in hospital. So we're still waiting for a couple of test results, but it's good to have one of them home.
It's a start. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And Morgs, then of course you had your baby shower, which everyone has seen on Facebook, and what it looked like there was like a retail store piled up with special offers of is it special nappies?
No, Jeep, I tell you what, I don't actually want to talk about
it. It looked like
I'm
a
trying
kid,
to avoid it as much as I can.
You know, like one of those kid ceremonies that you have as a professional player. Look like one of those with the bags and the jerseys and the 4 T-shirts and the 5 golfers.
We got seriously spoiled, though, James.
This is the thing about the rugby guys. You guys will use any excuse to come up with a party.
Correct. So, yeah, very spoiled. Lots of nappies. The entry fee for my nappy bri was a whatever boxer, what do you call these things, boxer nappies or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I got very spoiled. Yeah, my missus had her thing on her side, but yeah, we went. I'm trying to stay away from home now. My house looks like
like a retail store. Yeah. Oh, well, well, not there yet, but yeah. Funny. I think we're going to all have different conversations over the next few years. The conversations change as one moves along. But right, folks, we went out over the weekend to go and watch Franschhoek up against Bellville. The season has now kicked off. Fantastic stuff. A lot of the fields are already in action. And how exciting is it that we've had so much rain in the last few days? Of course, a deluge of rain more than in the past, and we'll have to wait for the fields to settle in a little bit. I think it's going to take a time, even with the rain, for the fields to start recovering. But having said that, lots of the fields are now ready for play, have been approved by the city, and certainly the clubs are making an effort to work out which fields to play on which day. But one way or the other, the season has started, and we've got tons of results to go through. This weekend we went to go and check one of the top matches in Super League B. Both of these teams did fantastic last year, and as Jerome Parvater said to us last week, Bellville is certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with this week, or at least this year. Franschhoek up against Bellville. We'll talk to Franschhoek captain Jeffrey Whitelane, the assistant coach Christopher Andrews, and then Emerton Boyson is, of course, he's been on the show with us before, captain of Bellville, and then Warren Isaacs is also the coach at Bellville. We'll be catching up with them during the course of the show. A little bit later, as I said, we'll give you an opportunity for yourself to win a case of Score Energy Drinks. We'll give you that cell phone mobile number a little bit later. Let's check out now the first half highlights between Franschhoek and Bellville. right, welcome back, everybody. Franschhoek, Belleville. Well, everybody's back in the park. Looked like a rather wet day there and bitterly cold. Renzel Botman braving the weather. Morgan Newman, we're now back into it. The season has started. Franschhoek, Belleville. Before we start taking a look at the other leagues, your feeling on the game so far, half time?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tough conditions, you know. It's sort of slippery underfoot. It's always difficult to play, and when it's like that, the ball's greasy with the mud on it, you know, it's always difficult. But to me, it looked like Belleville set piece, really. You know, set piece in defensive zones, obviously tough to get out of, and looks like they've set a really good platform there. So, you know, exit plays were extremely important, and it looks like Belleville, who camped on their own line for a fair amount of the first half, still could set a nice, good, you know, solid base to get out of their 22. So
Is there a thing like a fast field and a slow field? Because looking at that field, and people talk about Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere rugby, looking at that field, it looked a little bit thicker than a hard, dry field that we were seeing so much during the preseason.
Yeah, without a doubt, chaps. I mean, there's a massive difference. I mean, that you can see is clearly a heavy field, heavy, slow underfoot. You know, it would be called a slower field. And then a good solid turf where the ball bounces much higher. You know, if it lands, the guys are much lighter on their feet. You know, they're able to get a solid base from which to work from. And scrums are a lot more steady. Although, in that, I must be honest, in that first half there, scrum didn't look extremely steady to me. But in general, on a slower field, it's just a heavier game. The forwards are in the play a lot more. You know, it's a different style, and it's sometimes not the games the backs enjoy.
Lyndon Julius?
Yeah, I think it looked very much like a evenly contest in the midfield. You know, first time tackles being made, and I think the way that Franschhoek sort of held their own against Belleville, which are, you know, more experienced Super League side. I think it was a good contest. It was a good testimony of exactly how tough Super B is. I think the field, like Morgan rightly alluded to, was a bit heavy. You could see the grass sort of, and I think it's because of the heavy rains that we've received, thankfully, over the last couple of weeks. I think the many fields taking a beating, but it's good to see that the guys are actually finding the gaps and, you know, attacking the spaces as opposed to, you know, running loggerheads at each other.
All right, we're going to take a look at the second half and see how this game rolled out, and we'll give you the result in a sec. right, so then final result there, it was a win for Belleville, 21 points to 20. Franschhoek missing the last kick there. Morgs, tight game.
Yeah, I mean, defensively it looks like I think defense is, it's in those conditions, James. I mean, on a heavy field, it's almost, many years ago, our coach always used to say to you, in a condition like that, you almost want to play without the ball. Yeah. You want the opposition to have the ball. You want to put up good defensive lines. You want to tackle them to pieces, and then feed off turnover ball, score 1 or 2 tries, and win ugly. And it looks like, I mean, although there was some really good rugby there, it's almost you want to win ugly. You take that result, you walk away, and you go right. Regroup for the next week. So, yeah, I mean, it looks Super League B, isn't it? We always talk about Super League B being the real the toughie of the lot, and it's clearly showed from week 1.
I think we can have a repeat of that, Lennon. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the fact, well, certainly I've identified Super League B, I think, as the one that's going to be, if we look at Super League A, there's sort of your top 6, bottom, and so on. If we look at the other leagues, there's lots of ups and downs. But Super League B, again, if we look at last year, it was these 1-point games. Everything came down to the wire. Super League B looks like it's going to be that every week we're going to have the same competition that we can't call it.
I think there's about maybe 2 or 3 teams that you can maybe say, okay, they've sort of hit their strats like in probably that first 4 or 5 games. Other than that, I think it's going to be all these messy wins, ugly wins, like Morgan said now. I think that there's, if you win 3-0 on the day, it's 4 points in the bag, and if you, whatever win you take, how big the margin is, I think clubs in Super B will just be happy with an away win. I mean, that's an away win for Belleville. Yeah. You don't travel that far to Franschhoek and then just expect just to take 4 points. They had to work for it. I'm sure there's quite a few battered and bruised bodies on the Sunday and Monday. Now they sort of it's Wednesday night. They're sort of getting ready for the final practice tomorrow evening, and it's the next league fixture again. I think there's a quick turnaround time, especially in. But we've had about 4 months basically of conditioning, so hopefully we'll get a bit of injury-free clubs this year.
Well, let's catch up with Franschhoek captain Jeffrey Whitelane.
Ja, ons baie uitgesien na die game, man. Ons oefen al van Januarie maand af al op ons voor te berei vir die liga wat kom. Het nog wel laat in die jaar begin, maar ja, eindelijk het begin die dag hier zo. Ja, wat die hele boel aan amper plat getoer voor vriendschappelijke games. Ons bestuur voor Lion Fitness organiseer en zo. En gelukkig heeft die reën dan gezorgd dat die velden en alles recht is en zo. De voorbereiding was daar geweest, ongelukkig vandaag. Uitslag was hier in ons gunst geweest. Ik zal niet zo zeggen die weer, ons het ons kansen gebruikt. Hij is van nummer 1. Toen die avond het is weer een game gekomen, maar ons het die puntenverschil, het is te veel uit laat. En toen moest ons ketchup rugby spelen, toen die avond en toen. Gelukkig toen konden ze die opmaken. Ja, volgende week als Keizer 4 thuis is zo. Dus ik zei, gisteren ga ik hem zo bij en kijk, die verloren vat op je gezicht en het voor en toe kijk. Dus kan ons zelf weer optellen, of jaar toe komen en de dingen weer rechtstellen.
Kales River will be at home to Franschhoek next week. Lyndon, just going on what Jeffrey was saying there, they're going to want to pick it up before Kales River come through. Kales River chomping at the bit to stamp their authority in Western Province Club Rugby.
Yeah, I think Kales River pulled off a miraculous win against All Saints over the weekend, coming back in the last 15 minutes of the match to overturn a 33-13 or 34-13 deficit. So that shows their capabilities, and I think traveling to Franschhoek, like I said early on, it's not easy. So I think Kales River will definitely be hoping that Belleville, they've learned that they've got a few tips from the Belleville fixture.
Let's take a look at and see what Coach Christopher Andrews is, of course, assistant coach at Franschhoek. See what he has to say about the game.
Ja, kijk, ons het een hele paar games gehad in die pre-season. Dat het baie goed gegaan. En die ouens was lekker committed geweest, maar ja, vandaag tawe ene geweest, critical mistakes wat die boys gemaakt het. Maar ja, ons gaan terug naar die drawing board toe en dan maken ons die fouten recht voor volgende weekse game. Ja, natuurlijk, ons is een dorpspan. En meeste van die ouens in die gemeenskap en omliggende gebiede kom speel hier by die Franschhoek Rugby Club. So ja, ons kan lekker bou. Hierdie spannetjie speel al omtrent vir 4 jaar saam. So ja, ek dink dat ons kan groot verskil maak in die liga die jaar, want die manne hulle ken mekaar. Ja, die gemeenskap ondersteun hierdie span definitief 100%. Soos jy kan sien daar op die bult, is lekker gees.
Die eiers.
En die eiers, ja.
Ek wil ook kennis. Die eiers is daar.
So ja, die gees van die Franshoek gemeenskap en ondersteuning van hulle is baie belangrik. Ja, ons gaan terug na die drawing board toe. Die critical mistakes gaan ons regmaak. So ons kom terug en dan ons sien uit na Kuilsrivier volgende week hier tuis.
Welcome back, everybody. Love it when the fans are getting involved as well. All right, we're going to take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll catch up with the captains and coaches of the Belleville side. Back in a sec. There we go, folks. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV, and on Twitter @Cape Rugby TV, and of course on Instagram @Cape Rugby TV. Pretty much very easy to follow and find us anywhere. But remember, every time you post or share something, use the hashtag #WP Club Rugby. It's the easiest way for us to find your content so that we can share it here on the TV show. Remember, you share it, we air it. We went out to Franschhoek. They played against Belleville over the weekend. It was a 1-point win for Belleville. Belleville taking the win there in the very last minute with Franschhoek missing the final kick. They managed to also catch up with Belleville captain Emerton Boyson.
Yeah, they don't come any tougher than Franschhoek away. It's always tough to come to Franschhoek. Hostile crowd. They're well supported here at home. They're well supported team, and we knew it was going to be a tough outing our first game. We're just glad we can pull it through the end. Yeah, I think we played our structure quite well. We worked on a lot of stuff in the off-season. The delay of the league starting so late, it wasn't ideal, but it gave us time to prepare well. And we did all the hard work, and I'm glad it came out on the day. Yeah, I think the guys know what to do. After the delay, after so many pre-season, so many friendlies, playing away in the Boland, I think the guys should know the structure quite well now. And it came out today in this game. We're just glad with the victory at the end. Franschhoek is a tough team to play against. They did well last year in the league, and it showed today. It's going to be a tough team, and I'd like to say they must just stuck to their guns, and they will be a tough team to beat for all teams. Yeah, this is the first hurdle clear. We're taking it game by day, game by game. We're going to celebrate this victory. We're going to take it in, but Monday the hard work starts all over again. Prepare for the next league game.
Right, folks, Emerton just talking there about a number of friendlies that they played. Of course, Franschhoek also saying there that they trekked just about through the whole of the Boland for the pre-season. Morgs, the friendlies, I've had a couple of opinions here. Some people say play lots of friendlies before the league starts. Other people say play no friendlies or only one or two. Your feeling on it?
Look, Jeff, to be brutally honest, no, but you know what? Between professionally and obviously amateur is two very different trains of thought. You know, professionals, I believe we need. You know, there's enough. They get enough time together and keep the amount of games. You know, on an amateur level, play as much rugby as you can. I mean, that's why we play the game. Yeah. You know, it's just let's go out there, have fun, play as much as you can. I mean, the result really doesn't matter. Let guys go out there, express themselves, keep them busy on a Saturday afternoon, as opposed to preparing for I mean, yes, it's important to prepare for.
There we go. Finally, a man after my.
But yeah, go play and have fun. I think that's my train of thought, especially at this level.
Renzo, let's just go back to Super League B, and in fact, we're going to bring the logs up on the screen now. Well, before we do that, folks, let's just quickly catch up with the assistant coach from, or at least from Belleville, assistant coach Warren Isaacs.
Is altyd taaf uit in Franschhoek. Maar ek dink dat ons iets weer gedoen hierdie week. Ons het hard gewerk off-season en ons het lank gewag vir vandag. En ek het geweet ons gaan Franschhoek klop binne in Franschhoek. Ja, jy sien dit was 'n baie lang afseisoen. En die ander ding is ons sit nie eens met ligte op die veld nie, so is moeilik. Ons oefen 4 teams op een veld wat net 2 liggies aan het en dit is 'n groot probleem. Sien maar ons het ons goed voorberei vir hierdie game. Ja, ek het baie confident in die ouens, die jong span wat ons hierdie jaar het. Ek dink hulle gaan groot probleme veroorsaak in hierdie league hierdie jaar. 1 gone, 12 to go. We take it game for game every week.
Right, before I talk about the game there, did I just hear that he says that there's 4 teams practicing at Bellville on one field with 2 liggies?
Yeah.
2 lights?
I think he's obviously bringing in the third team, or speaking of the third team as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the fact that the club's got no lights.
Yeah. So George's,
what on
we're
earth is
in
going on?
the same situation. We got three lights only working, or 3 of the poles are working, and we've got 2 clubs there. So Strand and St George's share a field.
All right, just before I start talking about the actual game itself, if anybody from the city of Cape Town are watching, if you maybe have some time to consider what's happening on the sport fields, of course, between all the stuff that's happening in the media and everything else that you're busy with at the moment, there are 2 clubs that we've identified for you that need some support with the lights there. Maybe the facilities managers can also look at that. So the one is in Bellville. They've only got 2 little lights for a number of teams, and as you know, it's going dark at the moment. And then, as Lyndon just said to me, St George's also struggling with lighting there. So what did you say, 3 lights?
3 lights working, 2 clubs. So Strand and St George's affected by it. So
Strand and St George's,
so
of
6
course,
teams.
at Castro.
Castro, yeah. So 6 teams, yeah.
Right. So if you are watching, Strand is and St George's in Castro. It's just on your way to Gordon's Bay side. Make a right there. It's easy to find. And see if we can fix the lights there. Right, Morgs, just going to what Warren Isaac has said there. I wouldn't say that they clipped Franschhoek. It was a close game, but Warren has got a good side there in Bellville. We watched them play against Milnerton, I think not last year, but the year before. And what we saw there from Bellville was, and I thought maybe that the field conditions didn't work for Bellville so much. Now, hence the reason I was asking about a slow field and a fast field, because Bellville has got a really good running back line.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, I really thought that the conditions would have played into Franschhoek's flavor a little bit more. They look a bit heavier. They look like they, like to keep it tight. And the Bellville guys, I mean, we've known they've been in Super League A for many years. They like to give the ball some air. They throw it around. So a big result for them. Yeah, Klopp he uses the word Klopp. I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, I think, to go there and get a result, especially after hearing the conditions that they got to deal with. I mean, it gets dark at 6 o'clock. So how much time are these actually really putting in, and then to come out and put a performance like that together, impressive, James. I mean, very happy. I think they can walk away from there smiling, and there's a side that's going to be knocking on Super League A's door pretty soon, I reckon. Yeah,
Lyndon, let's take a quick look at the logs in Super League B, and then we'll take a look at the results. If we look there at the logs, we've got Helderberg at the top of the pile. We're going to bring up the results in a second. In fact, we'll flash between the results and the logs. But Helderberg at the moment, they're sitting at number 1 on the log. Hamlet's, Kales River, Young People's, Bellville, and Franschhoek. Let's quickly look at the results from the weekend. Then it was a win for Kales River, beating All Saints 37-34. Bellville, as you see there, with a 1-point win over Franschhoek, just 1 point. And then Hamlet's 41-17 over Hands and Arts. Pog went down to Young People's. And Helderberg, as you see there, that puts them firmly on top of the log at the moment, 40 points to 15. So it's early days. If we just look at those teams there that managed to come away with those wins, Helderberg, we've always known that they're going to be a threat in Super League B. Hamlet's changed the coaching structure, but they've obviously, it's early days, but the clubs are coming to show their intentions. Kales River, Young People's, a lot of people talking about Young People's as a threat this year, and then Bellville, Franschhoek, and All Saints. But if we look at those top 6, we're going to see some tight games here.
Yeah, I think also like the fact that Helderberg narrowly lost out to NTK, to gain promotion to Super League A last year. I think that will do them a bit more good than it did, than they actually see now, because they can use this year to sort of build on that. I think Hamlets have always been a threatening side, especially in Mamre. You don't go out to Mamre and just walk away with any win there. You have to work for your points. And I think Hamlets, like you said, they under new coaching staff, and it's a fresh wind through the club. And I think Mr. Moses there and his executive, they will definitely welcome this amazing win against Hands and Arts.
All right, let's stay on that point. Let's quickly go back to the logs, and what I want to draw your attention to here is just a little bit lower down on the logs. So if you look at the top there, you've got Helderberg, Hamlets, Kales River, Young People's, Bellville, Franschhoek, All Saints. But then from there on downwards, Kraaifontein, Vineyards, Primrose, Collegians, and Rangers have still yet to get onto the park. So if we look at that, Lyndon, then we know that there are a couple of teams here that haven't got on the park yet. As we said, it's early days, but if we look at Kraaifontein, Vineyards, Primrose, Collegians, and Rangers, they haven't played yet. Which of these teams do you think is going to be a little bit of a threat to those top 6 that we took?
I definitely think Kraaifontein is going to be one of them, and Collegians always once they get back from the Ramadan break. I think
of course Collegians and
Primrose and Vineyards
and Rangers.
Rangers. Yeah, I think Vineyards definitely also one of the strong teams that have come up from the Super League C. In fact, from the zones up until Super League B.
Yeah, in fact, Vineyards also
and All Saints. Yeah, so I think
Kraaifontein is possibly the only team that might see a game this weekend.
Yeah, let's see a game this weekend. Yeah, and I think that's a very good. It's a very good sort of mixture of teams in Super League B, and I think Morgan mentioned early on, Super League B is always going to be a tough league, and I think you can't really pick a winner at this stage or any front runner. Anything can happen in a matter of 2 weeks.
Early days.
Yep.
Early days. Well, very exciting. Super League B certainly looks like it's going to be very exciting this year. Send us your messages. Tell us who you think is going to be top of the pile in Super League B. You get those predictions right, well, you're a rugby genius. We don't know. It's going to be very tough. Folks, when you come back after the break, I'm going to give yourself a chance to win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. They'll give you that mobile number that you need to SMS. When we come back after the break, we'll take a look at what's happening in Super League A. There were some interesting games there over the weekend. Welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV. Remember, a little bit later, you win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. Super League A kicked off this weekend as well with some big games. Let's take a look at some of the results there. It was, of course, NTK with a win over Belhar. Brackenfell with a win over Tygerberg. False Bay went 4, 5, 7 points up over Hamilton's, and then Union Miller with a win over St. George's, and Durban with a big win over Villagers, 42 points to 0. Okay, let's talk about that there. Belhar went down to NTK. Lunan, is this too early to tell? Are the lack of friendlies playing a role here? 43-point win for Belhar, who we know is normally one of the top 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't read too much into that victory. Obviously, guys, at NTK, you don't want to take anything away from the win. But I think Belhar just need to find their groove. I think their lack of friendlies or their lack of finding friendlies through the preseason, I think it's sort of just catching up to them now. But I think it'll take them about 2 or 3 weeks, and then they should be back to their form again.
Get the momentum back.
Yep.
All right, so that's we're going to see some big games from Belhar still this season, as Lennon said, a little bit too early to tell. Now, Morgs, we believe that you've hung up your boots.
JP, I have, so James. So I sit in this panel as a complete neutral, James.
I like that.
Did he hang up his boots? Manny hung up his boots, or really hung up his boots? Because Manny hung up his boots means he'll come out somewhere in the season.
They'll drag him in for social games.
I'm available for social games. I'm fit.
With Sharky and the boys.
I'm fit and raring to go. But I've decided to call it a day, James.
Well, listen, Morgs, I must tell you that for us, whether you're playing Springbok rugby or club rugby players, you've had an incredible innings at every level, from junior level to junior Springbok World Cup, captaining the side against
InterVarsity.
Yeah, it's merging.
I just want to throw the last one in there, captaining the side against the British and Irish Lions.
Yeah. Yep, I've got some cool memories, Jeff. Yeah, very, very cool. But I think it was time, and I'm very happy with my decision. So.
All right, now you're going to have to do your homework, because now you're not playing on Saturday, so you're actually not seeing every team. So now you're gonna have to do what we do, and that's research.
I got time to get out there, Jeff. So I watch 1 or 2 games. I'm out there. I'm still on the ground watching rugby wherever I can. So.
All right, so let's go to that, because you were still in the mix when you were playing against Brackenfell as a Hamilton's player, and you were in the mix when you played against Tygerberg. So you know both of those teams quite well, intimately. Tygerberg has been a dominant force in Super League A for a while now, but Brackenfell are back on the park, and they seem to be stamping the authority game by game, year by year, and here we go, first game out, and it's already a big win for them over Tygerberg.
Yeah, I mean, look, I speak out of correction, but Brackenfell last year also started like a house on fire. I mean, they clearly do their preseason, whoever their conditioning coach, whoever their coaches are, clearly doing something right during the off-season, because they come out firing, and to pick up a result like this against a Tygerberg side who, I can't mention names, but from what I've seen, have done a massive amount of recruiting, a massive amount of getting players down there and creating a vibe at Tygerberg. So to pick up a result like that for Brackenfell is massive, especially this time of the year. One round, we're not going to see them again. you pick up your result and you run for the hills.
Lennon, did you predict this?
Not at all.
Not at all?
When I saw the halftime score at 14-7 to Brackenfell, I was thinking like, okay, could this be sort of our first upset of round one?
Yeah.
And then as I saw,
Would you call it an upset?
I definitely call it an upset because I mean Tigerberg is a Gold Cup team. They've played against the best in the country. They've played against the best in Super League A. They've won. They drew against Marty's a few years back. So I mean this is a side that really they sort of know their teammates, and they're a very well set side. And I think Brackenfell. I think this just shows that how strong Brackenfell is. I'm not sure exactly what it is that, like Morgan said, maybe their conditioning is a bit strong and a bit sharper this year. But I think the way that Brackenfell sort of sent out the message out there, I think any team that sort of picked Brackenfell to be easy pickings, I don't think you can't do that right now.
The feeling I get when I look at a Brackenfell is that 3-4 years ago they were just not this strong, and they were sort of struggling at the bottom of the league, playing games, hanging in there, and we seem to see this as sort of a lifespan thing, that once you start struggling, the wheels start coming off, then you start the rebuild process. And what we have noticed from Brackenfell is that they've started the rebuild process for the last few years now, with the likes of Carl and Norkier staying consistent on the media side and working behind the team. They've done some construction on their clubhouse. They've done some promotion around their team. They've made sure the field is in good condition. They've worked at getting sponsors. They've built this culture at the club, and it seems to me that it takes a bit of time, but that's the core that you look to build, and then it starts to pay off slowly, more than just playing good rugby.
I think they were one of the first two clubs that we featured in the beginning of the year in the preseason. I think when if you look back at those images now, it was a bit hot still during the preseason, that second week in January, where we had tires flipping, guys carrying logs around, players carrying the other players on their backs and doing all sort of conditioning drills on the field, the ball being brought in. If you look at those sort of mixture of players, you didn't think that that it would have been a case of them, sort of getting the chemistry right, and you didn't think I certainly didn't think it would happen in the first week, and especially against a team like against Tigerberg. So now they're playing St. George's this week. So now you look at it like Brackenfell is a team to beat, in the Super League A.
Morgs, it seems like there's.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I happen to know one or two, the Bartelses of the world that are quite heavily involved in Brackenfell. And for me, all that club has gone and done is just built from the bottom up. They've built a strong foundation, and, they haven't gone and tried to recruit the world and, try and get the best from all the different clubs. I think they've gone quite nicely around the Brackenfell area and built a nice solid under 20 side, let the youngsters come through the ranks. And now we're starting to see a team that's starting to mature, spend 1 or 2 years in Super League A, and are really starting to build, like you say, from the likes of the media side of it, to the field, to the clubhouse, to creating a vibe after games, to keeping players there, player retention. Extremely important at this time, especially considering the amount of vultures, whatever you want to call them, that are out there in terms of trying to just recruit.
No, don't even get me started on the recruitment game. But basically, I mean, if you're a club and you have been knocked off your pedestal, and you start the rebuild process, probably a good thing not to have your expectations for the next year straight away. It seems like it's always about a 3-year period. If you've built consistently, stabilized, taken your time, it's about 3 years or so.
Yeah, we always talk about us being extremely harsh rugby public out there, but if you're a team like Brackenfell with leadership like Brackenfell have, then everybody needs to buy into this. I hate hearing of these 3, 4, 5 year processes or whatever you want to call them, but the reality is that you need to start to build it. I mean, the first year they arrived, there was no massive expectation on them. Yeah. It was take every game as it comes. When we used to do interviews with them, we used to chat to them. Take every game as it comes. You're playing against a big side, False Bay, the Hamiltons, the Stellenbosch of this world. You accept you don't try and go out there and set the world alight.
It takes a bit of time.
It takes time, and once that's in place, you start to pick up results like this. And that, for me, Brackenfell, top 6 this year, James.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to hold that one to you. Brackenfell top 6 this year. Let's quickly look at some of the other results there. False Bay, of course, went down to, or at least they beat Hamilton's. Morgs, you're a Hamilton's man. This was, of course, a False Bay home ground advantage. It was the primary game of the weekend, certainly in terms of Western Province and having the Super Sport Challenge there. False Bay and Hamilton's this year, quickly. Who do you see coming out higher on the log?
It's just, you can't ask me these kind of questions. Well, you know what?
But you're neutral.
No, as a neutral,
You can't go
my,
for it.
no. It's very simple. My heart is always my heart will be with Amis because I played there. But the reality is, I think Forceplay have just been much better at keeping continuity in their squad. I mean, they've Jonathan van der Walt is an extremely shrewd coach, and what he's done well with is he's kept a lot of senior players and mixed the juniors. If you look at that Hamilton side, I mean, unfortunately, I don't really know that many Irks in that side.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Well, there's also, I do get the feeling Hamilton's also in a bit of a settlement process at the moment. That kind of rebuilding.
New coaches, second year there now, lost a lot of players. I mean, Nicky went and did a massive recruit, lost a lot of players in the preseason now, and now he's having to do a recruit again. So on a rebuilding phase, but they'll be back there, don't you worry.
Fantastic stuff. Union Mill, of course, with the win over St. George's. I must say, Lennon, I get the feeling that Union Mill are going to be doing really well in Super League A. Ishmael Dolly and his team is a very smart coach, and him and Nolene Oosthuizen, they are getting stronger and stronger. They're just building consistency.
That is exactly why the guys at St. George's shouldn't feel at all disheartened with that result. I mean, 4 points in it. It was literally just a few kicks that the St. George's kicker missed, but there's a few highlights out of that match. One was a 100-meter try from behind our poles, or behind St. George's poles, going Alden Hess rounding off. There's a lot of positives from a game like this. You don't go to Moulton and just simply go there and just pick up 4 points and then drive back to Strand. So I think with Brackenfell this week, another away game for St. George's, I think it will be a good preparation for the first home game. But given Brackenfell's high that they're on at the moment, and surely well deserved, I think St. George's will have their work cut out this week in preparation for that one.
All right, and of course there was the final score there. The final result we looked at there was Durban beating Villages. Villages on a naught, of course, came off a naught after losing to Hamilton's in the warm-up last year, at least last week. So we'll have to see how Villages, how they dig their heels in Super League A. Let's quickly look at the log. Still a lot of catch-up to do with some of the bottom teams. UCT, Stellenbosch and Vix are top of the pile there, with Durban sitting in 4th place with 5 points in the log. They're all chasing the universities now. Brackenfell, False Bay, Union Mill, and then of course at the bottom, UWC, Villages, Belhart, Tygerberg going to have a little bit of work to do. SK Warmers going to have a number of game in hands when they get back to the park, and then Hamilton's and St. George's mid-table there. Folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at Super League C and the rest of the league. Remember now, in the meantime, if you want to win yourself a case of Score energy drinks, then all you need to do is SMS the word SCORE to 33090. 33090. Get your mobile phones out and send the word SCORE to 33090, and you can put yourself in the mix to win a case of Score energy drinks. Congratulations to last week's winner, Chris Fourie. Chris, you walk away with a case of Score energy drinks. Someone from Cape Rugby TV is going to be in touch with you shortly. We'll take a break. We're back in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV, and please share your scores every weekend. Everybody else wants to know what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby as soon as possible. So every afternoon on a Saturday, keep tweeting and just use the hashtag #WP Club Rugby. We'll share what you share, and that gives you a nice high reach. Okay, so remember, if you want to join the faithful, the Western Province Rugby Supporters Club, and you need to go to the www.wprugby.com and go and register there, sign up. For just R1,000, you can sign up and get more than 3,000 rands worth of value, courtesy of westernprovincerugby.com. You can win yourself an Adidas voucher, or at least part of that package is, of course, the Adidas voucher. A Stormers jersey, which is worth more than R750. That Adidas voucher is R500. A brand new exclusive cap. They send you that membership card together with an official certificate and bonus gifts from some of the other sponsors, a trial gym membership, and that all is going to be delivered to you courtesy of a DHL.
One of our greatest assets are our fans, the faithful, and we really wanted to create something unique, something world-class, a supporter club that engaged and interacted with all our fans, not only within the Western Cape, but regionally, nationally, and in fact internationally. We have the best fans in the world, and we believe we put together the most amazing, unique, and innovative supporter program. And we call on you to stand together with us. Are you one of the faithful?
Here we go, folks. The Newlands faithful. for, as I say, just 1,000 rand. You get more than 3,000 rands worth of return on your investment immediately. So that's really great. Let's take a look at the results in Super League C over the weekend. It was a win for Kyla Moore, 53-22 over Blue Jets. Goodwood 34-12 over Scottsdene. Lunga with a 60-5 win over Young Wesleys. And then Macassar 27-8 over Strand. Silurians went down by just point to Elsie's River. Very tight game there. Let's quickly look at that result there. Two results that stand out for me, Lyndon. Macassar with a win over Strand. Derby match. Yep. Macassar will be happy with that result no matter where they are in the season. Even as the last game, the first game, the middle game, Macassar will be thrilled.
You know, the guys, I think it's similar to what you and Morgan alluded to earlier on in Brackenfell. They've got everything right. The guys at Macassar, Darren Roman in the media office, they've done like everything. All of the sides have covered it, and I think it's spilling over into the field where the guys are just playing exceptional rugby. And
then just the last one in Super League C, Elsie's River walking away with a 1-point win over Silurians.
I spoke to David Skippers earlier on in the week, and I told him that's a very good win for Elsie's. You know, it's sort of a new feel that you get at Elsie's. He says that they just hope that the momentum keeps going. I think Silurians can't be too dejected by that result either.
Yeah, no, well, absolutely, 1 point. I mean, for a team that's looking to build there. Yeah. Morgs, you've played against Silurians in Super League A. They're down now, but they'll bounce back if they get that stability back.
Yeah, 100%, Jeff. You know, again, another side that's going through massive transitional phases over the last few years, but start building from the ground up and, you know, pick up 1 or 2 results, you know, do things the right way, and we'll see Silurians back up there pretty quickly, don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Results then in the City League, of course, Masi Pumelele walking away with a win over Temperance and Cities, and Western Zebras 12-0 over Progress. Meanwhile, in the Southern League, it was Bishop Lavis going down 8 points to 17 against Morningstar. Laguna beating Retreat 17-12. Peninsula with a 26-20 win over Noordlikes. Rocklands 33-0 over Young Brothers. And then Silverleaf going down to Atlantis 31 points to 18. And then in the Northern League, we saw it was a win for Blue Stars, 73-0 over Delft. Wraithby with a 70-0, at least a 70 points to 7 win over Emikawi. And then Whistling Wheels beating Khayelitsha 29-0. The number that jumps out there for me has to be Wraithby beating Emikawi. I mean, Emikawi has been a force to be reckoned with. Wraithby, must be doing something right.
Yeah, they've also in a new building phase after being relegated last year. Halftime score there 44-0. I think that sort of set the trend. I think Wraithby's pre-season friendlies that they had were very tough opposition. The guys are also working towards sort of a 3-5 year plan, but I think they'll be back in the Super League come end of the season.
Well, and just on another result there, Whistling Wheels beating Khayelitsha 29 points to 0. Looks like some of these friendly games paid off for them. They played Hamilton's. Whistling Wheels played against your old side there in a pre-season friendly. And Khayelitsha is a strong outfit. And they're putting on, maybe these friendlies are working for them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, look, it's again, you know, do you play tough friendlies? Do you play easier friendlies so you can get through your maps and all that kind of stuff? It's debatable, but clearly they played the right friendlies.
Just in the rugby terminology, quickly explain to the fans and everybody out there when you say get through your maps.
Yeah, well, you know, obviously your coach has sort of the style of rugby you want to play, you know, from a set piece, what you're going to do, what the forwards are going to do, where the forwards are going to go. You know, some teams like to play with forwards down the middle of the field, so they'll put maybe a pot of forwards in the middle of the field and put your flankers out wide with hooker.
So your game plan?
So yeah, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's your game plan, it's the way the players are going to run, it's the shape of your side.
So rugby people call it maps.
So yeah, rugby people call it maps.
You could call it game plan, but you call it maps. Structure. All right. Structure. All right. So if it's maps, I got to get my terminology right. You know, otherwise, I might call it the game plan, and no one will know what I mean.
I'll bring you a map next week, James.
Okay. Right. Map for the show. We got our show maps rolled out then. Let's look at the results in the PAR League. It was a win for Allendale 40-10 over Violets. Paarl Rangers 38-17 over Peril United. Riverstones went down to Young Standards by just 3 points. Simondium went down to Lower Paarl, 16 points to 13, and the Young Gardens with a win over Albions. It's going to be some cracker games coming up this weekend, folks. Let's take a look at the fixtures in Super League A. We see False Bay, they take on Belhar. Brackenfell up against St. George's, Hamiltons and Villages. There we go, another derby match. Tygerberg and NTK and Durbanville and Union Mill. Let's start at the beginning here. Morgs, Belhar didn't do so hot this last weekend. They'll be looking to bounce back. It's going to be against False Bay. False Bay is a tough outfit.
Yeah, not an easy place to. Once you've lost your first one, then you got to play a second one against False Bay. It starts getting tough, but
Some work to do.
yeah, I think False Bay will handsomely take that one. I think.
Lyndon, quickly, St. George's, Brackenfell. We just spoke about how strong Brackenfell have been getting, and they've already walked away with a win over Tygerberg. St. George's will be looking to bounce back after the Union Mill loss.
It's another tough week. Well, every week in Super League is obviously a tough one, but I think after last week's results, I think this fixture sort of changes your perception of this fixture. I think it'll be a tough one for St. George's to go out to Brackenfell and record their first win.
And then, Morgs, Hamiltons are up against Villagers this weekend. Last week we saw Villagers losing to Hammies in the derby. Now we saw them lose this past weekend against Durbell, taking Naught and Naught, 2 in a row. And now they're back on the park against Hamiltons again in what essentially will be another derby match. This time they're away though. They're playing at Hamilton's home ground. Now Villagers will be looking to, well, I'm not sure if it's home ground, but possibly. Anyway, Villagers against Hamiltons, they're going to look to try and put something on the board.
Yeah, no, look, they played against each other in the President's Cup and then lost them, and then this week it's back at Villagers, sorry. Hammy's Fields haven't been cleared yet.
Hamilton's Fields not clear yet, okay.
Yeah, not allowed to use the showers or whatever it is, I think is the ruling, but nonetheless, wherever it is, you know, it's a tough one for Villagers. Again, you've lost your first one, but to play Durbell, Hammies on the trot is always going to be tough, Super League.
Other big matches there, of course, coming up this weekend. Tygerberg and NTK. Tygerberg looking to bounce back after their loss this past weekend. And then Durbell, Union Mill. There's going to be a cracker of a game. Durbell and Union Mill both coming off wins this past weekend, so look out for that. Let's quickly look at some of the posters you guys sent in over the course of the week. Coming to you at Florida Park, the Red Devils, a poster that came in from the guys at NTK. Tygerberg up against NTK, kickoff there for the first team is at 4 o'clock. And then Brackenfell also sent in a poster. St. George's kickoff there at 4 o'clock. Don't see any sponsors on the posters here, guys. This is why you must send the posters in, so we can publish your sponsors. Then Union Mill sent in their poster. Or are busy sharing this on Facebook at the moment. Union Mill, 4 o'clock kickoff against Durbanville, of course, at the Durbanville Rugby Club. Great to see those posters rolling in, and the reason that we're able to publish that is because the clubs shared it on Facebook and so forth, and have sent it to us. But remember, the key to that is put your sponsor on the poster so we can give publicity to your club sponsor, and hopefully they'll give you more money for your club. Let's take a look at the fixtures now in Super League B. Franschhoek and Kuilsriver, Hamlets and Helderberg, Kraaifontein and Paarl, Peniel Villages and All Saints, Young Peoples and Hands and Hearts. Poster that came in there from, I think, the Kayla boys. Franschhoek up against Kuilsriver. Kickoff there at the Groenendaal Sport Field at 4 o'clock. And then a nice poster here from All Saints and Villages, at least Peniel Villages. Kickoff there also at 4 o'clock. All the first team games at 4 o'clock. Sponsors there, though, SPM, that's Southern Pulp Machinery, the Harding Group, HGC, can't quite work out what that is. Crawford Steel Services. Nice to have sponsors there. In Super League C, we see Macassar up against Busy Bees, Violets and Blue Jets, Solarians and Blue Jets, Goodwood and Lunga, Strand and Young Wesleys. Poster that came in here with the MC Boys up against Busy Bees. They're playing at Riverside Park. In the City League is Progress and Young Ideas. Western Zebras are up against Police. And then in the Southern League, Noordlikers and Rocklands Retreat and Young Brothers. Bishop Lavers take on Silverleaf, while Atlantis are up against Peninsula. In the Northern League, we see Delft and Whistling Wheels, Kalicha and Blue Stars, Windmill and Blakes. Poster that came in there, Coronations versus Wraithby. So Stelkor taking on Wraithby over the weekend. And then in the Bergzucht, we'll see Van der Stel Evergreens up against Eerste Rivier. Sponsors there, Dynamica. Dynamica on board, of course, with Van der Stel Evergreens as their new sponsor. So Van der Stel Evergreens up against Eerste Rivier. And then finally in the Paarl League, it's Albions up against Parel United. Simondium is up against Riverstones. Violets Paarl take on Young Gardens. And Young Standards take on Paarl Rangers. Right, folks, that is, of course, a wrap from us here at Cape Rugby TV. Morgan Newman, thanks for joining us. It's been fantastic to have you back.
Yeah, always good to be here, James. Available anytime. Thanks for having me.
And then Julius?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always good to chat with Morgan and yourself.
Right, folks, just on a final note, without saying this, we certainly would not have been able to do the show. We heard of the sad death of former president, or at least the
CEO.
CEO of Western Province Rugby Football Union, Mr. Tiens Rootman. He passed away after a very, very, very long service and commitment to the Western Province Rugby Football Union. And I'm sure the entire rugby fraternity, old and young, will mourn his passing. Our condolences go out to his family, his loved ones and friends. He certainly made an enormous contribution to the world of Western Province Rugby for many, many, many years. In fact, most of his life was dedicated to Western Province Rugby. Our condolences to the Rootman family and friends. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.